everyone out there in podcast land. We're here at the Las Vegas Mini Maker Fair, where there's over 65 makers who have brought their contraptions to show the world, and over 1,000 people who have come to check out all of these cool new inventions. So what are some of the most difficult challenges in putting one of these together?
The dome. Numero uno, the dome. The dome is the toughest part to do on your own. These domes are made from 3.5-foot disc of aluminum, spun at high speed, and then wood forms are pressed in while it's spinning to make a dome. Then they take a 5 or 6 axis laser CNC and cut all the individual pie pins out. That's the most difficult part for anyone to do.
Because there's a highly specialized process to get that to come out properly.
Build already. And then I got.
So this is all polished and milled steel or aluminum.
No. It's the majority of this droid is aluminum, and then the foot shells on it are steel, much tougher, quite a bit heavier. They're much tougher. They'll take out a wall, a foot, small children.
Sure. Really. So what are some of the design decisions that you have to make when you're trying to put something like this together?
Well, the blueprints have been worked on for many, many years. A bunch of guys who are incredibly dedicated at doing so. They've watched the films over and over and over. They've gotten access to the real Lucasfilm droids from time to time. They've gotten actual dimensions off them. And this is a combination of as much Lucasfilm or up close dimension taking as we drive around. The big decisions become, what do you want to do with the droid? Do you want to have a static sit-at-home thing, which is cool, hey, I've got an R2. Do you want to take it out in the public? Do you want to turn swap the entertainment system? It just plugs on. Do you want to make the lives of that one just has more electronics panels, little ones, a little bit better?
How many R2 droids have you built?
Well, to tell the God's honest truth, I've been working on mine, which is on the table here, since 1999. But there's a tiny fraction of the parts involved in what he's going to be. A lot of it's at home. A slot-fed DVD drive for playing film, video projector, periscope, sensors for full AI.
So there's all of these different features that some R2 units have, and everybody has solved parts of those problems. Everybody picks which pieces to pull together into the droid that they do. And if I wanted to buy one fully assembled, ready to roll,
we have a working relationship with Lucasfilm that allows us to build our own droids, to utilize them for museums, like make charity events, screenings. Sometimes we work directly with Disney and Lucasfilm at our droids. As a matter of fact, 2 of our guys who are in the UK are using their droids.
This is more complete looking, so I can actually
Star Wars.
I did this, like very, very domes, have my R2 version, and this done.
So we're here with Nico from Girls in Tech. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Girls in Tech does?
So Girls in Tech is a global organization, and we basically promote girls in technology, starting with young girls, all the way up to women, and we also encourage entrepreneurialism and innovation. And one thing that we do is a program with the Girl Scouts of Southern Nevada, and it's called the She's Geeky series, and we teach them web design, graphic design, blogging, computer basics, just to encourage the interest and let them know that's definitely an option for girls too.
They can do more than just sell cookies nowadays.
Absolutely.
There's real future in artistic creation.
Definitely. So definitely check us out, girlsintechlasvegas.org. Let's see what we have going on.
Cool. Thanks so much, Nico.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This is my Tesla coil. Its name is Project Icarus. Part of making the Tesla coil is winding the secondary, which is a very tedious process. It's hours of mind-numbingly boring work that you can't make any mistakes on. And so instead of doing that, I thought the better option would be to make a CNC Tesla coil winder.
Oh, wow.
So, demo here.
And it's measuring the tension just right to make sure it
So
lines
it
up?
knows how many steps to run this motor per rotation. It knows how many steps to run this motor per millimeter of travel. You put in what the diameter of the wire is. You put in how many turns you want, and then you hit go, and it basically, for every rotation of this, it will move this shuttle exactly one wire worth. A Tesla coil is basically a machine that makes lightning. So it takes a high voltage power supply source, it runs it through basically a primary coil and a capacitor bank, and then there's a spark gap over on the other side. And so that basically will resonate at a certain frequency. And if you get this to resonate at the same frequency that your secondary coil and basically the top load capacitor, which aren't connected to this, they're separate. If you get those at the same frequency, then you build up energy and more energy until you eventually get electricity that breaks out in lightning. So it's kind of like how a swing works. So if you push someone, you just push them randomly, they're not going to swing very high. But if you push them at just the right moment, you don't have to push them with a lot of force. They'll basically swing higher and higher and higher until you push them so far they can't hold on and they just fly off the swing set. So
This is the electrical
that's
version
the
of that.
electrical equivalent of by this, because I touched this and the stray electrons that build up on the outside and don't have anywhere to go through my body into ground, which is
must be
rather
fun,
painful.
yeah.
But
How long did it take to put all this together?
so the coil winder took me a couple of weeks. This was actually a lot longer, but a lot of that I worked on it for like well over a year. But a lot of that was like sourcing parts and researching and whatnot. Once I had all the parts together, it probably took me 1 or 2 months to finish.
Very cool, dude. I'm here with Kermit and his new LED creation here. So what do we got here?
So this is the Doom Unicorn. It's been a project that's been ongoing a bit for probably about 2-ish years now. Friends have kind of been building on this, making it better. It kind of died off for about a year because it was kind of a failed Burning Man project, but it's being resurrected again.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just do things as simple and as custom, but more labor intensive. So simple LED strips, LPD 8806 chips running them. So you just take the strip, cut them in two, and just keep wiring it the whole way in series, and just make sure you've got power that's gonna not drop off. All in all, it's about 1,024 LEDs set up currently. Might do more of these in time, but who knows? And then the boxes are all just more custom pieces that just have the skilled monkeys do the stuff, and get your friends to do some cool things and get involved in projects together.
If you were to make it audience interactive, what do you think?
Connect style interactivity, possibly doing stuff like being able to give people like RFID pieces and where they move around. Kind of thinking about moving towards possibly trying to build a complete DJ experience without actually having a DJ. So being able to use the audience as a way of getting to that stage is kind of an interesting idea for me, and I think that's where things are going to be moving here. I always love to see what other people do, because if this inspires even one person, I don't care, it's worth all the work. So.
But just think of it as one big battery. So when your foot activates the throttle pedal, it's taking this big black and big red from the battery, routing it to the controller, and the controller outputs it to the motor. Okay? So the controller is just the pulse width modulator that will decide how much energy to send from the batteries to the So that's a crash course in electric vehicles. You can build your own. You can use lead acid or lithium. The range depends on a lot of different factors. It depends on how much the car weighs. It depends on how much capacity you have. But one thing to think about is if you ask a battery to do a lot, if you really strain it and you pull a lot of amps through it all at once, it's not going to give you as much as if you ask it to trickle the energy out slowly. Okay? So if you were to double the battery pack, it would make sense to get double the range. But in actuality, doubling the battery pack more than doubles your range because each battery doesn't have to work as hard, so it can work longer. So you end up getting more out of it if you add more batteries. But the drawback is with an electric car, this many batteries will get you 20 miles in driving. With a gasoline, this much gasoline will get you 20 miles in driving. So you have a volume problem, not to mention a cost problem.
That's the biggest issue.
That's the biggest issue, is where they're all going to friggin' fit. You end up losing trunk space, and it becomes not as practical a car as most gas cars.
Combustion engine.
And people want infinite range. They want to just go to a gas station and go.
Right.
But I've been driving electric now for 8 months. I have this car. I also have a Nissan Leaf, which is about 20 grand, and it meets most of my needs. And I haven't bought gas in 8 months, and it saves me $400 a month that I was spending on fuel, and instead it's less than $1 a day to recharge.
Okay.
So it's like getting a raise at work without having to work anymore. It's fantastic.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So you actually drive this on the street as well?
I do drive this on the street, and then when I can't drive this, I drive the Leaf, and it's a great car. We hope you enjoyed this tour of the Las Vegas Mini Maker Faire. If you want to find out more, check it out at Maker Faire Vegas on Twitter. And I'm at The Real Brandis on Twitter, and we'll see you next time.